Good evening. You are welcome to this evening's podcast. It is now official. The two chambers of the National Assembly have approved the state of emergency as imposed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Senate also followed what the House did and approved the state of emergency, as well as the suspension of the governance structure in Rivers State. So, from what we learned in the news, the man appointed as the sole administrator is already in Rivers State and would have taken over at the time we are speaking. And so it is official. The state of emergency has gone operative. It has fulfilled all the conditions as required by the Constitution. This is how it went at the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, the issue we are debating right now in second reading is a constitutional matter, and Constitution has prescribed what to do, Mr. Speaker. It is in the integrity and interest of this House, Mr. Speaker, for you to announce the quorum as we are seated, so that Nigerians will know that we are not circumventing the Constitution. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, this is not about either supporting or opposing what Mr. President has said.
This President's request that this House must have two-thirds of members present. Mr. Speaker, may I please ask?
We already have our attendance registers, honorable colleague, and we will rely on that to ensure.
Mr. Speaker, this is a constitutional.
Yes,
Can we do a head count, Mr. Speaker?
There is no.
That we have a quorum.
Yes.
That we have.
Yes. Our attendance register will guide us accordingly, honorable. Please.
Sir?
Our attendance registers will guide us accordingly. Members are still signing, and at the end of the day, we'll take attendance.
Mr. Speaker, can that be made available now for the members to know whether we have formed a quorum? Whether we have formed a quorum, Mr. Speaker, as enshrined in the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, so that our deliberations are not going to be deliberations based on illegality.
It is noted, honorable. Please, you can sit down. Any more contributions? Any more contributions? So we put the question. Are we ready for the question? Are we ready? Those in support of this request of Mr. President as amended should say aye. Aye! Those in support of this request from Mr. President as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. There is have it. Thank you very much.
Point of order, Mr. President, so that we can be sure of our procedure. Just a point of order. It doesn't stop the motion.
The Distinguished Senator Siraki Dixon.
Yes.
I watch you on television.
Mr. President, I have a point of order for which you have recognized me.
Listen to me now.
Yes.
Let's not argue. If we argue, it won't be good for any of us. We are all distinguished people. You are a former governor, I'm a former governor. Let us, please, off the mic, sit down. Please be seated. I watch you on television, and you said no matter what the Senate does, the Senate will never go with you. The Senate will not go with you. You said no matter what this Senate does, the Senate will not have your vote on anything the Senate does. That's what you said on television. I don't know, but I'm saying that if you have already made up your mind to go and talk on television when the Senate has not even considered any issue, I want to let you know.
To me, please.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm only saying, please allow me to preside. Allow me to preside.
Make my point.
Stand up and make a point.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please, we must have mutual respect for all of our colleagues, okay? And I do have regard for you, particularly as our presiding officer.
I appreciate
And I think that should be reciprocal. Now, the point of order, Mr. President, Henry Siraki Dixon, Bayelsa West. The point of order I rose to address is to draw the attention of the presiding officer and our colleagues to the specific provisions of our rules. Each one of us is guided by two documents: the Constitution of the Federal Republic, upon which we were sworn, and the rules that govern our proceedings. The proclamation has been read to us, and I wanted to draw your attention, Mr. President, respectfully, and the attention of all our colleagues, to the specific provisions of our rules. Order 135. The framers of this are very exhaustive. Once you say state of emergency declaration, there is a procedure.
Can you read 135?
Let me read it. Say, look, 133. When the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, by instrument published in the Gazette of the Government of the Federation, issues a proclamation of a state of emergency in the Federation or of any part thereof, he shall immediately after the publication, A, B, C, D. Now, since you have read it, now let me go to 135. The President shall, in a closed session, brief the Senate on the circumstances of the proclamation of a state of emergency.
Your point of order is upheld.
Thank you. So let's go to the closed session.
Please, he was about to move the motion for a closed session.
Those in support of the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers say aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it in unanimity.
Well, as you can see, that is how it went at the National Assembly. Now, outside the National Assembly, opinions are as well very divided. What is disturbing about the whole process is that the opposition political party leaders met at the Yaradua Center, where they addressed a World Press Conference. As the conference was going on, as the members of the opposition political parties in the National Assembly were also doing yes vote to support the state of emergency. Of course, as we saw earlier on, there were a few people who stood out and wanted to ensure that procedures were followed in the process of the National Assembly. However, when the voice votes were taken, there was no presence of the opposition members. There were no dissenting voices. At least to my ears, I did not hear people stand up to say that they had voted nay. So it will appear that the people who were present at the National Assembly at that time in the chambers would have all agreed to what happened. And so that still begs the question, what has come of the opposition political parties? Are they ready to be opposition political party members, or they want to follow whatever the ruling party wants to do? However, the fact of the matter still remains that the parties, the opposition parties, need to wake up to their responsibility and give Nigerians a choice. The controversy about the process that took place in the National Assembly will keep going on. As a matter of fact, late this evening, it was in the news that someone had already gone to court, to the Federal High Court, to challenge the imposition of the state of emergency. There are legislators and lawyers who also think that the National Assembly may have violated the Constitution in the manner the motions were taken today at the National Assembly.
As a former member of the National Assembly, what I read in the House of Representatives is that the approval of the state of emergency was done via a voice vote. And I also read that the Senate, in a closed-door session, did whatever they did and came out to say that they have approved the action of Mr. President. If this were to be true, I'm sure it is against the spirit of the Constitution. When the Constitution, which we swore to abide with when I was in the National Assembly, says, is that where two-thirds of the votes of the National Assembly is required. You can't take it by voice vote. And you cannot close door to take a decision. Nigerians want to know how many people supported. In fact, those who elected us want to know whether you vote in favor or against that decision. Everybody from Zamfara State, from Enugu State, from Mondo State, from Lagos State, want to know their representative position. This is not a thing you can do secretly. So, ordinarily, the vote should have been by poll. And the House of Representatives will say, okay, 250 against 110 or something like that, but not by voice vote. What has happened today is an aberration, and it's not helping our democracy because it is not a valid process. And I haven't done it in that manner. It is against the spirit of the Constitution. The Constitution did not say the National Assembly should approve. The Constitution in Section 305 says 2/3 majority. How do you determine 2/3 of voice vote? How do you determine 2/3 of a closed-door meeting? This is not the position of the law. And therefore, to me, what has happened, the National Assembly has not helped our democracy. That have been part of government and that still want democracy in this country, the only hope is to challenge. Let interested parties challenge this position at the court, and let court tell us whether a voice vote can determine. Honestly, what has happened in the National Assembly will be declared null and void. And at the expiration of the 2 days, the National Assembly will not be capable of approving that state of emergency because the law says within 2 days. After 2 days, if they cannot tell us the number of people that voted, then they are incapable of approving any longer. Then the state of emergency becomes null and void because the National Assembly has not approved it as required, as provided for by the National Assembly. Ganify me as an Akilu had declared this. Even I, as I talk to you, I have local standing. I'm a Nigerian, and I'm interested in democracy. The PDP as a party, who is the ruling party in Rivers State, has locals. Any member of the House of Assembly, the governor, the deputy governor, a voter in Rivers State. Anybody, I mean, the field is very wide. That will challenge this in court. And I'm telling you, after 2 days, the National Assembly is incapable. It's incapable of approving it. So they have. I mean, how do I call it? They are playing into the hands of the opposition. Honestly, they are no longer capable by tomorrow to approve, and they have not approved now. What they have done now is the theater. They have not approved because they must tell us what constitutes 2/3 of a voice vote. And those who close the door against themselves must tell Nigerians how many senators supported the vote. Without this, the National Assembly has not played their constitutional role.
I think that, I mean, there's an ancient Chinese saying, some say it's a curse, may you live in interesting times. And these are clearly very interesting times. Democracy, as we know it, is only as legitimate as the strength of its institutions. On a matter that borders on the Constitution, it is my informed opinion that a voice vote is insufficient to give legitimacy to the process. Now, there was a gentleman who had raised a point of order on the quorum. That again sets a lot of questions rolling as to why the presiding officer did not want to take a head count. He should have taken a head count and they should have voted one person after the other. Then it would have shown legitimacy to the process and transparency in the process. Now, as to whether the constitutionality or lack of is not in question here, but I think that what the National Assembly should have tried to do would have been to make the process as transparent as possible. And so what they've done is raise more questions than answers. And a lot of people, as they say, justice must not only be done, but be seen to be done. And when the process that throws up an answer, it has questions, then it raises a lot of, it brings up a lot of doubt as to whether it was a clear and transparent process. So for me, I think that the National Assembly should have acted in a way that would leave all Nigerians believing that what happened on the floor of the National Assembly was a true reflection of what the Nigerian people want, rather than subvert its own rules in trying to achieve at what they achieved at.
The question still remains for me that members of the opposition political parties may not have played their role the way they ought to play. In the United States recently, when a vote was to be taken as to whether the budget that was done by the Democratic Party under Biden should be continued in the resolution, the Democrats who did the budget, because of their support for their party, they refused to vote for the budget. They stood against the budget that they had made because they were loyal to their party. In Nigeria, this again raises the question: are political parties groups of people with shared ideals, with shared objectives, with shared hopes or ideology, as some people will say it, or they are mere platforms to contest election, so you can move from one platform to the other? The way the opposition has conducted itself now will open the floodgate for more people to move out of the opposition parties to the ruling party, because most people go into elections because they want to win. The conduct of the opposition parties in following what the ruling party is doing will only serve to discourage people from remaining in the party and will make more party members to be disloyal to the party. My name is Romande Shaulu. This is The Other Side.